Let's have a little fun with spirals and spirals. Let me show you what I'm talking about. Here we have a spiral tool. And you drag and you get a nice spiral. While I'm dragging, I can use my up and down arrow keys to make this tighter or looser. Also, if I hold my control key, I can affect it this way where the circles are larger from the center or more concentrated in the center. The spread of it, I guess you could say. But what we want is a spiral like that. Not quite that tight. We're going to make this size just a little smaller. And we're going to change it just a little bit right here. Move that over. Perfect. Now to go along with this, we are going to have a rectangle, black fill, no stroke. Now I want this to be 100 points. By 100 points. There we go. And we are going to use the twirl tool on this. Now the twirl tool, let me double click it. And let me hit reset just to make sure these are all the default values. And you can see it's at 100 points, the same size as this. The intensity is 50. I want to turn that down to 20. I'm going to leave all of this at the defaults and we'll click OK. Now, if I put this twirl right on the corner anchor point and I'm going to count to 4, just hold it down, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. That way I'll get them pretty close to the same. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. What happens is if my twirl tool is the same size as my original square, then this will be very symmetrical all the way around. If it were bigger, there would be some space in between here that would be unaffected and might look a little awkward. But this is just what I want. Now I want to decrease the size of this. I want to hang it off my spiral right in this area. I'm going to hold down my shift key to make it smaller. That looks good. I also want to turn it. So I can just hang it. That looks pretty good, but it's very much overpowering the original spiral. So to get a little more art flavor to this, we're going to use the width tool. And if you just click on the line and pull it a little bit, you get this beautiful graduated thickening of the line. I think I want to slide that over just a little more. There. Maybe even down. There we go. Now, to make it just a little more interesting, I want to add a colorful circle here. And that would be fill, not stroke. And we're going to just repeat this. Hold it down on my Alt key dragging. Maybe put one more this way. Okay, what we want to do is group this. So right click and group it. That way later if I want to change it, I can take this one piece out really easily. So now we have spiral, we have twirls, we have some colorful dots, and we're going to make this into a bigger spiral using the rotate tool. Let me show you what I'm talking about. Holding my Alt key, I'm going to locate this right at the end of the spiral. This menu box comes up and I can put in values here. I want this to be at least 30. Preview that again. And I also want to copy. If I hit Control D, it will continue that exact step. And there we have a beautiful spiral. To continue with this, I want to show you a couple of ways to change this really quickly. One is by selecting one of the red dots. If I go to select, same, fill color, there's no stroke on it, so fill color, you notice all of those are selected and I can instantly change the color of the dots all at one time. I could also do same, stroke color, and it's going to get all of the original spirals and change the colors on those. Let's make it a dark blue. If I selected one of these and went to same, appearance, it's going to get those. Let's make those orange. So it's an easy way to change all the colors at once instead of trying to go through and select and select. And of course you could, if you wanted to get some variation, you could certainly select these individually. Since I grouped this one, if I select that, I can hold my Alt key and pull that out and maybe make some changes here that before I go back to another spiral. I'm going to take this whole thing and make it smaller to put it off to the side. And I see that something interesting happened, and that is that my stroke and everything is still the same size as it was when it was bigger. It doesn't look bad here, but it's not proportional. I'm going to undo that, and I know that under Edit and Preferences, I go to General, I have a setting that's Scale, Strokes, and Effects. I want to turn that on when I change the size of this, holding my Shift key to get it perfect. It makes more sense. These are not as thick as this originally was, so it's just a small version of what I had previously. I want to just demonstrate what happens when you maybe flip this around. We'll take this one and this one, and we'll put it there. And rotate tool. One thing I forgot to mention earlier is that if you want these to match up perfectly, this needs to be divisible into 360 evenly. So 10, 20, anything that would go equally into 360 will match up perfectly. Let's go with 45. So now we went from a flower effect to almost like a octopus or something. Very, very similar in the way they were constructed, but very different in the way they look. One more, and that is working with text, but I already have some ready, and that is here. I just have written out vector graphics, and I want to rotate this. It just makes an interesting design to have. I'm going to slot out a pretty good ways. I don't want it too tight or these V's will all collide with each other, so I'm going to give myself a little space. Hold my Alt key, relocate the point of origin, and let me preview. 20 looks good. I'm going to leave it at 20 and do copy. Perfect. Control D to go around. And just to give it a little more interest, I'm going to slide this internally a little ways and increase the size. There we go. So we have, get these all on the artboard and then take a closer look. Double clicking my hand will bring them all up for me. We have three very different spirals. There's really no limit to what you could do with the spirals and changing the shapes. In regards to this, where I had it one direction and then I flipped it around and it looks incredibly different. Try different ways of turning it, flipping it, the rotation degrees, but more importantly, just experiment and see what you can come up with.